Where the heck are the lovebirds?
Who cares? Let them be alone for a change.
Alright, yo, welcome back. So, today we're gonna talk about X-Men 97. Because I just finished watching it. The first season's over now. 10 episodes total. It was really, really good. I really have nothing bad to say about it. I'm gonna straight up say it's a 10 out of 10. This is the best thing Marvel's put out in, a long time. A really long time. But in terms of animated shows, I'm very happy because everyone knows that DC has had a leg up on Marvel when it comes to animated shows. But I think this might be a turning point for Marvel if they keep going with this team and this sort of dedication they have to the source material and to making these stories great. Then it might be Marvel's turn to take over the animated TV space. But we'll see. Well, again, I'm gonna straight up say it's 10 out of 10. Now, I'm gonna try to keep this spoiler free. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna keep it spoiler free, just in case anyone hasn't seen it yet. I might consider putting out a spoiler review, depending on, I guess, if I get enough traction in my views and likes and stuff like that. But if not, it's cool. In any case, there's a lot I liked about the show. From at the very beginning, from the offset, let's just talk about the animation. The animation is fantastic. It has this 90s aesthetic that is kind of faithful to the original series, but it ups the ante with when it comes to like fight scenes and things like that, movement of the characters, expressions. It's all really, really well done. The colors, it might be corny, it might be straight out of a comic book corny, but it does a really great job making what the original source material is not seem so goofy. And it kind of just, even if you think it's goofy, the show kind of like goes into that. It's like it doesn't care. The show is just doing its own thing, and it doesn't. It has its own like clear identity that it's fantastic. Animation wise, it's fantastic. Now, when it comes to the voice acting, again, I think some of these people are the original voice actors for the shows, and if that's true, then that's fantastic. They did a great job. If I'm mistaken, I apologize, but I will say that the voice acting for everyone is great. I love. I think the best voice actor here is definitely Storm's. Storm's voice actress is the voice actor for Storm is she's amazing. I don't know if she actually talks like that in real life, but if she does, damn, it's an amazing voice. It's a really great voice. I love Magneto's voice actor, Scott. I just love all of them. I think the voice acting is fantastic. And you would think that the lines that they're saying sometimes would be, kind of goofy and hard to do, but the voice actors are invested. They're doing it. They're living up this character, living up to the character and what the character would do. They're invested. I love it. It's fantastic. Something else that's great about the show is the fights. Oh my god, the fights are amazing. The animation for these fights is great. There's a really great scene with Wolverine and Nightcrawler, and I'm sure people who've already seen the show will know what I'm talking about. But there's a really cool, scene with those two characters. That's like, oh my god, the animation for the show is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It's Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse level good. It's really good. It's very good. I know the budget. I know what the budget went into. That's for sure. The fight scenes are fantastic, and I love how the fights are tailored to every mutant's specific abilities and their skill sets. And you can tell that the people who worked on this were very dedicated to being faithful to every character, giving them their moment to shine, showcasing what their true powers are. And I love how this show really goes into depth and shows you the level of power that these characters have, which is something that I think a lot of shows and movies do, is that they're not really faithful to the comic books. But this show said, nah, screw that. We're gonna straight up show you just how strong this person is, and they do that, and it's fantastic, and I love it because it's like, yeah, X-Men are no joke. They're really strong. They are really strong. So I love that the show is doing that. I love that it doesn't shy away from being really comic book-y, but still having really serious themes throughout the show. Because again, everyone knows what the X-Men are. The mutants in the Marvel universe are a metaphor for racism. Everyone knows that. We've been watching the movies. We've been knowing what they're about, but this show has its own take on it. Its own universe, its own way that these X-Men and the people in this world deal with the X-Men. and the show does a really good job expanding on that universe. And it does a really good job of showing you that this is not just an X-Men show. This is X-Men in the Marvel universe, like obviously their own universe away from the movies, but it doesn't shy away from showing you, some other Marvel characters in that universe, and I love that because I always think, people hate on cameos when the Marvel movies do it, and I get it. I get it when it's like for shock value, when it's just like, oh, this character like just came in, pause for an audience reaction, and then he or she says their line. I think that's annoying too, but I think in the grand scheme of things, when you're building on an extended universe, it makes sense that characters from certain movies or TVs would appear in other movies or TV shows because it's like one huge universe. You would expect these characters to have to interact at some point. Um, and this show does a good job of showing you like other Marvel characters in it, but not taking away the spotlight from the X Men because it stays true to form. This is an X Men story. This is an X Men situation that they're dealing with, and it's very specific to the X Men. Other characters have their own. Other Marvel characters might have their own lines and stuff like that, but they're never really. It's never delved into. So I love that the show did that. Again, the voice actor is phenomenal. Another thing, and I think the best thing that this show does, it really it makes these characters, it humanizes them. The irony, right? Because they're mutants, but it humanizes these characters in such a great way, and it gives them their own time to shine. And it does it in such a great, unique way for each character. They all have their own story arcs. They're all having their own things they're going through. And I won't lie, this show is fast paced. Like things happen very quickly in this show. There's a lot of stuff they throw into this 10 episode series, but I love it. I'm with it because I think the show does a good job transitioning from every episode into every other episode. I think it does a good job of building on every character's story arc, the ones that do have story arcs, and I think it does a good job of giving everyone their own time to shine and their own lines and their own scenes that really showcase who they are, what they can do, and why we should even care about them. And I think for no one this speaks more true than Cyclops. And I say this because while Cyclops wasn't my favorite X-Men in this show, and I'll tell you in a bit who it was, I think what they did with Cyclops here was really make Cyclops, for lack of a better term, they made him cool. They made you care about him. They made him someone that you wanna support, that you wanna stand behind, that you wanna follow. They show you why Cyclops is the leader of the X Men. You usually associate that with Charles Xavier, but it really should be Cyclops. Charles is more like the teacher, the I guess the wise man they go to for advice, but the leader should really be Cyclops. And the show does a good job of showing you who this guy is. Because maybe if you've only seen the movies, then you really haven't had a good representation of what Cyclops is and what he can do. But this show does a fantastic job of showing you who he is, why he's a leader, what he stands for, like what's important to him, why you should care about him, and more importantly, it makes him really cool. Like his skill sets, while not as interesting as maybe some other people's, because again, this guy just, if you really think about it, he just shoots lasers out of his eyes. But this show shows you that no, like he does that, but he uses those skills, in conjunction with his other, his mind, his skill sets, his abilities, like physical abilities outside of that. And it just shows you like he's not limited by these abilities and is only able to shoot lasers out of his eyes. Like he can use them in a variety of creative ways that make him really cool when it comes to like combat and really effective with how he is able to work with the team to fight bad guys or take out enemies. So I really like that. Again, the first episode straight out just shows you how cool Cyclops is. There's a really cool scene in the first episode with an airplane. I'm not gonna spoil anything in case you haven't seen it. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I was like, whoa! Cyclops has some really cool parts. Now, my favorite character by far was Magneto. Magneto was, I think, the best character in the show, and nowhere have I ever rooted more for Magneto than in this show. In this show, I was like, you know what, Magneto's right. Magneto's right. Magneto's always been right. Screw humans. I'm with Magneto. I'm with the mutants. He can kill my ass. I'm for it because he's right. And I think that's what this show does really well. I think with the movies that because I'm someone who's just seen the movies, and I'm speaking from that point of view. I think the movies did a good job of displaying Magneto and where he's coming from, but not really. I don't think they do a great job of sort of empathizing with him, because what you see in the films, outside of I think First Class, I think First Class is a little bit does the best job representing Magneto as a human character. I mean, even though he's a mutant, but the movies, the original movies, they show you Magneto, and you can understand why he dislikes humans, but he's really more of a villain in those films. In this one, Magneto is very clearly an anti-hero, and the show does a fantastic job of showing you where he's coming from, why he's doing what he's doing, and more important than that, why he's justified in his actions. I think the show does a fantastic job of showing you why Magneto might just be right, why his way might be the only way, because everyone knows what Magneto's about. Magneto is a guy who's been through a lot of trauma, who's had one of his people be oppressed, be murdered, be just attacked just for being who they are. And right now in this story, he has another people who are also who also are a minority, who are being oppressed, who are going through stuff. And he's someone who's seen what happens when you let people who are in charge, or people who fear someone or hate another group of people, you let them run free and do whatever they want to those people. And he's always for protecting mutants, because that's his people, and that's who he's about. And the show just has so many great scenes with Magneto. Almost every Magneto scene was a banger. I like None of them were bad. The voice actor for Magneto is fantastic. It's just you can't watch the show and not think Magneto's right. And I love that, because it puts you at odds with the X-Men, because you like these characters. The show does a great job of making you like these characters. Most all of them get like their own sort of little scenes or episodes where they get their time to shine, and you're rooting for all of them, because you're watching this team, how they work together, how they function. You understand why they're like a family, how they care about each other, how they interact. The show does a really good job of showing you all that. And then you have this guy who's kind of stands for the opposite of what they stand for, and you're conflicted, because on the one hand you like this team and you want to support them, but on the other hand, Magneto, and the things that happen in the show, you're like, damn, he's right. He's right. Like, you wanna help both of them out, but only one can win. So, yeah. Well, again, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's a really great take. It's an interesting take with Magneto's relationship with the X-Men. That's not something I don't think anyone's ever seen in live action media. Maybe if you were only into comics, there's a lot of things. This show is very comic booky, and I love it. But it also touches on some serious themes, and I love that too. You know, and most everyone gets like their own time to shine, and I love that the show also takes a step back from giving Wolverine his time to shine. Like, Wolverine has obviously some cool scenes where he's being Wolverine, but none that really delve into Wolverine as a character, whereas other X-Men might have specific episodes dedicated to explaining who they are, where they're from, and not just showing you what they can do, but just more who is this person and why should we care about them. And I think we have a lot of that in the movies, so I like the show kind of take a step back. He's obviously not gone from the show. He's still in there. He's doing his thing, but the show does a good job of giving other X-Men their time to shine. I'm super excited for season 2. I love how the show ended. I think there's so much potential here for Marvel, and again, this is honestly, it's really good, man. It's really good. I would take no Marvel movies for the next few years if they just kept giving me more seasons of this with the same quality. I would actually do that. Like, that's hot take, but I would take it. Except for Deadpool. I really want to see Deadpool, but outside of that, I would do, if they don't want to come out with another like Infinity War movie or Avengers, not Infinity War, another Avengers movie, I wouldn't be too bad about it if they kept giving me more of this and more of these things, because I know that there's discussions about them also bringing back the old Spider-Man show. Again, I never watched it, but if they bring that back with this quality and set in like the same universe, oof. I shudder to think. It's just so good. But yeah, this show is fantastic. If you're into Marvel at all, I would suggest watching it. Even if you're not into animated stuff, I would suggest watching it. Um, I convinced someone who's not into animated stuff to watch this show, and even they agreed, like, damn, that was fire, or like, damn, that's a really good scene. My favorite scene by far is episode 5 with um with the island of Genosha. That was a really cool episode. That was oof, it was such a great episode. It was the episode that made my jaw drop because it was just so well done. It was amazing. But yeah, they're all great. All episodes are great. I would say that the weakest episode is centered around one X-Men who I'm not particularly fond of. It wasn't a bad episode by any means, but I'm not huge. I'm not really invested in this X-Men character, so it wasn't like an amazing episode for me. But it was still a good episode. And yeah, everything else, everything that comes after is fantastic. I have already been rewatching scenes and episodes from this already because it's just so good, man. It's really good, and I'm excited for season 2. And I hope that they can keep putting this show out with this type of quality. And again, there's just so much from the X-Men universe that we haven't seen in shows and TV that they can build upon, and I love that. And I love that there's so many stories that they can go from here. And I'm excited to see what happens. And it's just, it was really good. It was really good, man. There's so many lines here that are bangers that remind me of Thanos. Because when I watched Avengers, every time Thanos speaks, it's like a banger. It's a that line, whatever he says is a banger. Like I just want to repeat it because it's so fire. And I feel the same way here, especially with Magneto and Storm. Magneto and Storm have, I think they have the best lines. But yeah, this was an amazing show. I definitely strongly recommend everyone watch it. I think this show does a really good job of really showing you who the X Men are and why they stand apart from the Avengers, the Defenders, and Shield, all these other things. They're their own individuals, their own group, going through something that no one else in this universe can really help them out with, and it's something they have to deal with on their own. They have their own enemies they have to deal with, uh, and it's just there's a lot of people feel conflicted because what do you do, what's the right thing to do, whose side are you on, how do you match with what you're feeling with how people are treating you. It's just a really good show, and I think there's a lot of surprises in this show for people who haven't watched it, if you're going to, that I don't want to spoil, that are going to be amazing. And yeah, I strongly recommend y'all watch it. It's fire. It was just straight fire. But yeah, thank y'all for watching, and I hope you have a good day.